There it is. There it is. That's the bell. You're in the championship rounds with King Amin and Essex, moderated by Jay. Here where we talk boxing, news, everything in between. This is round 9. We made it. How you feeling, bro?
Feeling good, man. I got to be honest with you. I'm recuperating from this injury. It's minor injury. Get the camera in on that one, man. It's been slowing down my training progress. So,
damn.
It's not really, I can't put my hand in the glove. I can't really do nothing. I got a little pin in there, some stitches. So it's been hampering my movement as medicine, but you still got to grab a jump rope, still get your shadow boxing, still get your calisthenics on. So I'm hanging in there.
Yeah.
The 9th round is
do what you got to do. I see you got the Fresh Boxing Voice t-shirt on. I don't know if you want to give a shout out. I know you were regular on the program,
Yeah,
so.
Definitely, man. This is just repping, alumni of the Boxing Voice. That's where I made my bones, man. And the thing about the Boxing Voice, this ain't an infomercial, but it's definitely a great entry level and beyond platform for you to kind of come. But you got to know what you're talking about because it is the Terror Dome, So the Boxing Voice definitely been down with them for years and made my bones on theirs, So shout out to the Boxing Voice, and I'm just repping right quick for that.
For listening, supporting, please continue to support King Amin and Essex. If you want to keep hearing that expert opinion on boxing, leave the comments, you know what I mean? Keep liking the videos and all that. So just appreciate all the support before we get into it, So in terms of the past weekend, we got to talk about, Manuel Charvers, Chris Lovejoy. We was talking about it a little earlier. Just in terms of just some setup, Chris Lovejoy was a, unbeaten heavyweight, 19-0, had primarily fought in Mexico. A lot of fights nobody seen, So, I'm smiling for a reason. So, they don't want to hear what I want to say. They want to hear what you want to say. So what'd you think of this fight and the backstory before we get to the fight? What'd you think of the backstory?
Yo, the backstory is like when they say the truth is stranger than fiction. The stories that come out in boxing, the things that we hear are so salacious, but they're probably not even a quarter as interesting as what we don't hear. But with Chris Lovejoy, to me, the way I looked at it is like boxing saves lives. I mean, how do you sign with Don King or a promoter like that modern day? So you really have to be in a position where you think you're going to beat the system. You think you're going to do something different. But the backstory, he's a big dude. Like, how we used to say back, he's big for nothing. This dude big for nothing. You got to do something. So, if it wasn't going to be pro football, it wasn't going to be basketball, it wasn't going to be a personal trainer, what can you do with, 6'5", 305 pounds, bouncer at a club maybe, So he figured out a little lick, man. He figured out a lick on that one, man.
Yo, the interesting thing about this story is exactly what you said, right? And this is what I had wrote down earlier. Like all the factors for a lick is there, man. No amateur career, no footage of his fights. You know what I'm saying? I think they said in some of the articles I read, I think he sparred with Tyson Fury, right?
Allegedly.
He sparred with Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
He sparred with Tyson Fury. They said he trained a little bit with Floyd Sr. and Roger Mayweather, like all of these little factors, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just in terms of the interesting factor, you know what I mean? And little to no footage of the fights. It's just crazy, right? And I was looking at some of the stuff after the fight, you know what I mean? And he was kind of talking about insinuating, and he might be saving face a little bit, but he was kind of insinuating that he was setting this all up for a big payday, you know what I mean? So it's crazy, man.
Yo, one thing about it, man, boxing is like the music industry, man. You can get in even without, and I'm not talking about Chris Lovejoy, but I'm saying even without talent.
Right.
It's the marketing. Now, he had Freeway Ricky Ross, the real Freeway, like managing him at a point. He had everybody, with the eyes on him because he paid that bread and went to Mexico, built up a record, had little to no footage. You put a little bit of footage out there, you got people biting. And immediately after the fight, now, the most interesting part to me, not that the commentators, we can find the footage of the actual fight, not that they just were shitting on him, just trying to tear down his character. They were pointing out all of the technical issues that he was having, where they're saying, like, at this level, if you 19-0, you got to have dynamite in your hand, because your footwork alone lets me know that you're not accustomed to throwing punches, you're not accustomed to taking punches, at least not in a professional context. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a lot of them was picking him apart, boxing-wise, against somebody like Char, where they're saying he is no world beater, and he was looking class against Lovejoy. So that's what made it a big joke to a lot. But to him, I mean, he showed pictures of his first-class fights. He said he made $200,000 off of this fight, you know? So, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it might have been, you know, worth it, you know? What did you think of, like, well, maybe you might have answered this already, but what did you think of, you know, Char, you know, the performance he put on, you know, especially kind of putting him down like that? What did you think?
It confirmed why I have a particular personal investment in boxing, is because you don't play boxing. You either do or you don't. You either know or you don't. And experience just shows. So it doesn't matter how many people Char lost to. He's the more experienced boxer. So now we're getting, you know, the proof of how my man, we ain't gonna say his name, but how my man picks fighters. You could pick a fighter, but if you don't know how to box and you're ahead of him in terms of muscle memory and technique, you're gonna look, I told you, I would look almighty against a cat that all he did was fight in the streets. Right. I would look amazing against him. But you know what I'm saying? But what does that mean? It means that I've just been doing it for too long. You know what I'm saying? I'm knowing the nuances. Because first of all, in a fight, you can't be afraid. Like in a fight, people don't want to get hit. They got the oohs and the ahs. In a boxing match, everybody gets hit. Right. So just that psychological insistence, like, yeah, I don't care if you hit me because I'm going to hit you. The other guy's trying not to get hit. So that in of itself, you know, a boxer's going to take apart a street fighter. And so what Char did was proof that when you are a more experienced boxer, fighting somebody that's a novice, you can make yourself look good and make that person look bad. Right. It's a good point. All right, so we're going to move on to the first article. You know, this is not a strange topic. We talk about it on and off. It's an ESPN article. Caleb Plant wants Canelo Alvarez next. So we got Caleb Plant, 21-0, 12 KOs. You know, current IBF super middleweight title holder. What do you think of him? Before we get to, well, you can get to Canelo if you want, but what do you think of him? And what do you think? Do you think the fight will even happen? Caleb Plant, I've said it time and time again. Caleb Plant is a special fighter. With all due respect, he's a white fighter from America. All right? Okay. Not since Kelly Pavlik have we had a champion white fighter that was worth a damn, right? So skill-wise, I mean, Caleb Plant is the real deal. I can't take nothing against him other than to say, when you want to fight Canelo, you usually know what that is. I mean, to me, I don't think, I think he has a better chance than what people give him, because he is a very skilled boxer. The power I may give to Canelo, but you got to think this guy's been fighting at 168 his entire career. He's the, you know, seemingly the naturally bigger guy. It's a good fight. It's a very good fight. People just expect Canelo to win because he's power. He's power. And, you know, but he has those things that Plant, I mean, as far as footwork, Plant is not Billy Joe Saunders. Billy Joe Saunders was jabbing, trying to get out. And I'm not saying Plant won't do that, but I think he'd be more insistent about, you know, firing combinations and being a bit more technical. You know what I'm saying? Saunders was jabbing and trying to get out, which is why he was ducking, which left him vulnerable to the uppercuts. Because when you trying to slip and get out, you turn in your body, you ducking and turning your body. So Billy Joe was doing too much of that. I think Caleb Plant, I think he's going to try to box more so than anybody's ever boxed him, other than maybe Floyd. And I got an interesting take on this fight. I'm glad you brought this up, because even if we didn't think much of the competition to the fight, right? So just marketing wise, because we gotta, as a fight fan, yes, but you know, you made a good point last week about marketing. So the way I see this Caleb Plant and Canelo fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to market Caleb Plant like Hulk Hogan. Papa was a real American. And even if, you know, because you got the white man versus the Mexican, boxing is primal. That's what all the fuss about AJ and Wilder and so, you know, Fury and these guys, it's primal. And if you want the money, you set it up where you get not anything disparaging culturally, but it's very clear on what each fighter will represent because of their fan bases. So even though Caleb Plant, he has a multicultural family, white people are going to get behind him. Mexicans are going to get behind Canelo, and it doesn't have to create a social divide, but I think the revenue, you could get, you know, white Americans that were not as into boxing because of their distaste for Floyd Mayweather. Now they got somebody to get behind, and you have to play.
Okay, I see where you're going. Now down, you know, they're going down that road in terms of the revenue. I wanted to get your opinion on this. Now, I looked at a couple of different outlets. They were talking about his camp has, or not, maybe not his camp, but people are putting out feelers talking about he wants about 10 million. So do you think that's realistic? And I'm asking you about the bigger part of it, right? Like, 'cause sometimes, like we'll talk about Wilder later, but sometimes the money could be seen as, you know, a distraction if you don't want to fight, right? Like if you know you only worth, throwing out figures, but you know you're only worth 5 million, so you say you want 15 because you know they're gonna tell you, you know, get the hell out of here, kick rock. So what you think about the 10 million? You know, what you think is the intent behind that? Like, you know,
I mean, I think it's a genuine number because me personally, I said start at 15 and land at 12. The reason why is he's worth more. Again, the marketability of, you put that Hulk Hogan syndrome on him, you know what I'm saying? Make him a real American hero, and he's the white Apollo Creed. That's worth more. He's undefeated. He's got a belt, and he's white. 1, 2, 3. Ask for 15. Let them give you 12 and pay for your flights and maybe 20 grand cash for you to bullshit at the casino for your wife or something. You know, it's a negotiation. But I don't think it was a way to get priced out of the fight. Danny Jacobs got 10. Kovalev got 11, 10 or 11. So, you know, when you need, and that's the thing about boxing. When you're the guy, you need a reputable dance partner. You got to pay me for my time. Jay, it's the difference between getting something from Niab and getting it off a, you know, off a menu somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Quality. You want a quality dance partner.
And I think the reason why I was asking you to follow up is because, you know, when we was watching the Canelo fight, I think immediately after, the way that, and you know me, I know I'm a casual fan. So the way they was talking about Caleb Plant, to me, they was kind of talking about him like it was going to be another Billy Joe Saunders fight, and I'm not saying this, I'm saying the way they was talking was like, this is another guy with a belt, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so he going to be dancing, trying to avoid fighting Canelo. So then when I started going beneath the surface and reading, I'm like, this guy talking about he want to fight. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was asking. That's why, you know. But this should be a good one though. So listen, moving forward, you know, we kind of talked about this a little bit of overlap with these stories. But you know, we got the Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury fight. You know, the arbitration came down. So I think Wilder, you know, has to be granted a fight by September 15th, right? So what you think now is going to happen with, you know, Anthony Joshua? What do you think is going to happen with that first? And then, you know, what do you think about this situation?
You know, Anthony Joshua is an innocent bystander in this as far as I'm concerned, because he's done what both those guys, you know, would like to do. And I don't mean would like to experience, I mean would like to be recognized for being able to do. AJ took the loss and he came back. AJ showed skill and development over time. He changed his game and he's making money. As far as I'm concerned, AJ is like the perfect blend of Wilder and Fury. Now, when it comes to those two guys, I look at it two different ways, man, and it's as objective as I can be. I respect Fury. I respect anybody that has the willpower to overcome any sort of adversity, especially mental health, right? But he's a bullshitter. you know, he talk a lot, and you gotta back it up. And so, you know, it's like, yo, I want to fight. Yo, but wait till the teachers ain't here.
Right.
Gotta catch him for the fight. Then you might fight him. You get your ones, you know, run it back.
Right.
And then now he ducking you. So it's you know, as a fighter, I gotta respect him. Skill-wise, I gotta respect him. As an individual, maybe not so much. Now here's where I find issue with what Wilder did. Wilder, from the very beginning, didn't embrace whatever position he was in. And maybe it was chess, but maybe I just look at it to say, had I taken that same loss, yeah, it might feel dirty coming from the type of person that it was, especially in light of, you know, Wilder feeling like it was some dishonesty, man. But at the end of the day, if you know you got something for somebody on the return, or if you believe that much in the litigation process, me personally, I can't tell somebody what to do, but I would fight on, you know? So, you know, you're waiting all this time for litigation to work itself out, which is the right thing to do. But I believe personally, there's things like, you know, maybe you're going through a divorce. Do you sit home and wait till the divorce is over? You at least go out. You ain't got to go out dating, but get the fuck out the house.
Right.
Wilder just kind of hung around. And again, I'm not telling anybody how to deal with adversity, but so now it looks like when the man owe you to fight, good, he's prepared for it. Maybe that quietness was all in preparation. But then you talk about all that step aside money and shit. Like I said, my pride wouldn't have been affected because it would have been like, yo, not only did he duck me and I had to take him to court, I'm going to keep knocking people on my way out on the way to the rematch. And the motherfucker had to pay me X amount of dollars because he wouldn't fight me. So you tell me who's scared.
Yo, but you know what, bro? All excellent points, right? And I want to know what you think it is. Because we was talking about it a little earlier, right? I don't think really Wilder had no choice, even if he would have wanted to take the 20 mil, because think about all them excuses he provided for losing, right? If he would have shut his mouth, the arbitration would have came through anyway.
Yeah.
He could have said nothing, bro. He could have did what you said. He could have fought, or he could have sat home and said nothing, right? Like most people do when they lose, right? Said nothing. No excuses. Arbitration would have came down anyway. So now he can't take the 20 million. He can't take 50 million.
Yeah.
He got to fight now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy because we talked about all the things he was saying. I was telling you off the air, like, yo, I'm not going to dare question his talent or his ability. That would be crazy, right? But I was just saying in terms of what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. It's just like, this is a guy that every 3 weeks he was talking about a different reason.
Yeah.
So he didn't have to say any of that, you know. So I just think it's interesting. But one other question I was going to ask you is, so this fight got to happen by September. We're almost in June. Tyson Fury's been kind of all over the internet. He's not in the best of shape. What do you think that say about his motivation for the fight? We know he knows how to talk and entertain and all that, but you know where I'm going with that. You know, is it any implication?
I've seen him having drinks with Adrian Broner on his Instagram.
Okay, that's not okay.
Now, Adrian Broner, he himself acknowledged that he may have had some issues with alcohol. I'm not putting a diagnosis on a label, but cool, he was having drinks with Fury. We know somebody that is okay, you know. Now, as a professional, yo, he go off the rails when he wins. So I'm not sure how he copes when he's nervous or afraid.
Okay.
So, you know, the one advantage I think Deontay Wilder might have in this is that, he made a lot of bullshit excuses. But I think it was just more like, you know, macho shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody told him, like, bruh, so come to the ring like Mike used to do. With no socks on, nigga, if the suit was too heavy, you know. But don't say that stupid shit again. I'm sure he could admit to it in certain circles, but you know, it does say a lot. You know, saying when you got somebody that you feel like you gave an opportunity to when he was down in the dirt, and that's Wilder's contention. I gave you a shot. Wilder's contention is I turned down the AJ fight to fight you and give you an opportunity. Now, whether he did that or not, because he thought Fury was going to be a powderhead, That's another story. But he said his contention is, I turned down the AJ fight to give you an opportunity, and then when you lost and they called it a draw, I gave you another opportunity, and you won't even give me my shake back. So he's
Well, if it went down like that, I understand if it went down like that, you know. But it's just, listen, man. All of this hype is you know, is good in terms of, you know, getting eyes on the mat, on, you know, whatever the fight that ends up happening. So, you know, we're gonna tune in regardless, man. But it's just crazy how this whole situation set up, you know, because waiting. One thing that everybody's saying is that this thing got sorted out before the plans. So we'll see what happens with that, you know.
July 24th.
All right, so we're gonna move right along. What'd you say, bro?
I said July 24th. We'll see.
Yeah, definitely, man. So we're gonna move on right along. So the next joint we're gonna, you know, kind of came across this week. A lot of people talking about was the video of Floyd Mayweather, the training video for the Logan Paul fight. So listen, man, I'm gonna just, you know, we know it's gonna be an 8-round exhibition fight. You know, kind of the complaints. This isn't me talking. This is quoted. You know, they were saying, you know, Floyd didn't look like he was in fighting shape, and they specifically said he looked old, slow, and weak. So what did you think about, you know, the video? You know, it's kind of been going viral, and you know, in general.
People can't be that naive, right? He just staged a fucking hat incident, right? So now you think Floyd Mayweather all of a sudden lost some fucking muscle memory or something? Bad on a bag? Okay. I'm a Nigerian prince. I'm gonna send you an email.
Right. And bro, that's why, this is why you my homie, right? Because we think the same way. Like, and this is what I wrote down. What do we know about Floyd Mayweather, all right? In terms of playing possum, right? But that's one thing. But the other thing is, and I mean this, you know, bro, and I'm just talking straight, you know, ain't nothing, you know. Whenever we see Floyd Mayweather out in public, right? Everything fresh, everything new, right? Everything clean, right? Everything straight, right?
Yeah.
All the time. Even in training camp, right? You've seen way more footage of him probably than me. So pull me back if I'm bugging. You know what I'm saying?
Never seen him
what you seen out.
I never seen him without a haircut training.
Right. Well, what my whole point in saying that is he controls his image very, very well. One of the best in the business at it, probably. You understand what I'm saying? And then beyond that, how he just present himself, he always want to present himself fresh and clean. We just leave it there. So if somebody like that puts that out there, they're putting that out there for a reason.
Absolutely.
You know, I just laughed, you know, because the article, they was kind of just talking about how, you know, Floyd needs to watch out because, you know, if he doesn't hold Logan Paul, then, you know, Logan Paul will have a chance to knock him out if he stays around. You know?
Jay, you remember this movie because it's one of our favorites, man. And motherfucker Samuel Jackson was buying motherfuckers Fleetwood Bromes, man. Remember that movie, The Great White Hype, Damon Wayans? The Sultan? That's what they do. Floyd Mayweather could come in the ring with a fat belly full of ice cream, and he will beat it. But he's selling the fight. He wants, look at what we just came off of, the climate. He wants people to have this idea that they're going to beat up this little arrogant guy. You know what I'm saying? And an arrogant, they're referring to him really as, you know, a black man in that way. So, I mean, it's marketing. Floyd is not remiss. Right. You know, he's marketing that. He wants you to hate him. He wants you to think that this person that's physically more imposing is getting the upper hand in all the media, because once you tip the tails, you say, yeah, oh, Jake Paul's going to kick his fucking ass. Jake Paul's going to, and then you tune in, you know, grade day only made Easy's payday. You feel me? So,
listen.
Go ahead.
New Jersey Sportsbook, I wanted to get your opinion. New Jersey Sportsbook gave Logan Paul 12.5% chance to win. Is that too high or what's up?
Bro, I got to look at the line when it gets closer to the fight on what round they have Floyd stopping.
Okay.
That's when you'll know when the fight will end. It'll end after the right. He did the same thing to Conor McGregor. They said, Conor wouldn't make it out the 4th round. Then they said it wasn't the 8th round. He carried him to the 10th round and put him out.
Right. Okay.
He left him unconscious on his feet from punches he couldn't even see coming.
That's a good point, man. You know what I'm saying? It's a good point. Well, we all gonna tune in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to leave it. So the fact that we all gonna tune in from the press conference to now that he's generating, and that's kind of when we started talking about whether or not we ain't talking about whether or not it's good for the sport or not, but whether or not he's creating another revenue. In terms of boxers, who knows where it'll lead? We got to see what happens when the numbers come.
I'll still say after this, he should look at, if he's gonna do it. And he said it himself. He's not fighting no young, hungry. Adrian Broner's not that hungry. He was just out drinking with Tyson Fury. Fight Adrian Broner, you get the same spectacle, but better.
Right, man. All right, so, moving right along as we do every week, we're going to go to school. We got the ABCs. We, talk about some basic techniques, kind of break them down, and talk about them in a casual kind of way. So we're going to be talking about breathing, boxing, and breath today. That's probably an area a lot of people will probably overlook, if they haven't done specific sports that require in terms of, controlling your breath a certain way, in terms of performance. So let's start with pace in terms of breath. How does it affect the fighter? And how does that impact? How is that going to impact your performance?
Well, one thing even on that is you have some trainers that before they even put any gloves on you, before they let you hit mitts, they want to see where your wind is at. They want to see where your endurance is.
Okay.
So even before you get to putting it together with your punches and even controlling yourself, with your stance, they're gonna have you, if it's a fight, clearly they're gonna be doing some road work, but just as a novice, jump rope, getting your footwork, getting that endurance, building up your lung capacity, and practicing breathing with your mouth closed, breathing through your nose, That's one of the interesting things is, as sometimes just in the gym on a regular basis, sometimes people exercise, they don't breathe the way they should. So can you imagine a mouthpiece in your mouth and it's already kind of bulky and you have to breathe out of your nose because number one, you don't want to get caught with your mouth open and get your jaw dislocated. So, even before you actually start the active breathing, as far as the punches and the movement, your breath control, stamina, and endurance is going to be so important because you're going to gas out. Even for a very muscular fighter, he's going to have a difficult time because, his endurance is going to be a little shorter. That muscle burns so much more energy than fat. So.
And I think what you said was important, right? Because a lot of people overlook this. Like we're talking about not just breathing, but controlled breathing, right?
Yeah.
The correct way, right? And even like in the midst of a fight, in the midst of in terms of like intense aerobic activity, like breathing is going to do two things. Controlled breathing, right? It's going to calm you down, right? And it's going to help you from tiring out, right? And help you conserve that energy over that long run, right? So you look at how marathoners breathe, or boxers, or or people that are in these sports where they have to, last for a long period of time. Soccer players, I'm sure. Absolutely. Those type of, sports. So calms you down, stops you from tiring out, right? So you can, keep your energy. So that's one thing people kind of overlook. So let's move right along in terms of breath and movement. Like, talk a little bit about that. How does that kind of impact, punches or your performance in the ring?
Now, again, you got to have some good wind by that point. And then as you're putting your punches together and you're getting the best example I use for some people is the best way to do it. It's just annoying. Devin Alexander out of St. Louis, Missouri, welterweight, 140-pound and welterweight champion, 2-division champion. Devin Alexander was notorious for stop.
Okay.
It sounds annoying. It's bothersome, but he's putting it on. And so what you're doing is you're connecting the breath to the movement on the punch. You got to. It's aerobic exercise. So you got to So you don't want to be huffing and puffing, but you got to find a way to, sometimes it's through a noise, you can get the same breath without as deep as an exhale. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, some cats is, you know, they make actual noises. But it's just about when you're getting ready to throw that punch, time it with your breath. Time it with your breath to get the most power on it.
That's interesting because, you know, I remember, you know, watching fights and you hear that, you know, because you'll have some fighters, you know, where it's enunciated a little bit more prominently, you know what I mean? And I mean, I didn't really know that was, you know, kind of connected to that. So that's, you know, that's crazy. That's interesting. What you said that, what was his name that he does?
Devin Alexander out of St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, exercise, you know. Yo, I think it froze up.
Yeah, it froze up. We back. Yeah.
All right, so just talking about some ways to practice breathing, you know. We all know yoga is a good way to kind of incorporate it, but what are some additional ways you think?
Great way. Definitely yoga, I would say. And you start off with that jump rope, man. Start off with the jump rope. You're not going to get, you know, depending on where you're at, you know, health-wise, you're not going to get a whole lot of, you know, reps right away. But give yourself a time. So if you say, I'm going to jump rope for 30 minutes and just get as continuous as possible over time. Take breaks when you need to.
Okay.
Going to be great. That's going to do you a lot of justice. Also, I recommend that you, you know, if your knees can handle it, do some running, especially if you're preparing for an intense type of training and you're really getting into some boxing training. You're going to need some running. If you're just doing some novice training, I would say get on you know, a high speed treadmill, you know, 4 miles an hour, 4.5, highest incline you can go, and just practice controlling your breath as you feel like you're losing your energy. And that's where you'll kind of gather that restorative breathing from that one might get from yoga or, you know, certain coordinated exercise.
All right. Always, you know, always good gems, knowledge that we get, you know, for free game. So they better get it while it's free because it ain't gonna always be. So let's move right along to the next portion that we always do, talking about, you know, upcoming fights. So first we're gonna look at Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez. It's a 140-pound fight. What did you think? What do you think of these guys, you know, individually, or, you know, what do you think the outcome of the fight and predictions?
Now, I mentioned this fight a couple weeks ago when we first started doing this because it's very intriguing to me for a number of reasons. Number one, you got fighters that could move up to 147 if they felt like it. That's, of course, the welterweight division. That's where, you know, all the gang is, right? But as far as Ramirez and Taylor, this is like a truth-telling competition. Whoever's the real deal will win this. I think a lot of people have Taylor as the real deal because he beat Regis Prograis and he came out to that recent Super 6 type tournament they had. But Ramirez, although I don't rate his technique as highly as some might, I heard his power is pretty good, you know, so I guess it's just one of those things to where we might have a high-level European fighter on our hands in the lower divisions if Taylor, you know, gets out of this, because to me, he the man at 140. You know, he'd be the man at 140. And if Ramirez wins, then that's interesting, especially when you talk about top rank, because they got a lot of 140-pounders in their stable. Elvis Rodriguez is on that card, the Dominican prospect. So they got a lot of 140 laying around at top rank. So I could see Ramirez having a decently built career at 140 should he come successful, because beating Josh Taylor is like a huge feather in his hat. So who wins? I got to choose the boxer. I'm going to pick Taylor. I got to pick the boxer.
Okay. So moving right along, you know, Jose Zapata versus Hank Lundy. What do you think of that fight? Predictions, what do you think of the fighters?
Well, you know, Hank Lundy is he an OG when it comes to this. As a matter of fact, people don't even remember. Hank Lundy had a step-up fight against Terrence Crawford. And that was not an easy fight for Terrence Crawford. Hank Lundy is a Philly cat, one, you know what I'm saying? Very interesting backstory. From what I understand, I believe his mother taught him how to fight, and then he took it from there. So I got a lot of respect. He got a cleaning business in the Philadelphia area as well. Boxing saves lives, you know what I'm saying? He could be doing Philly's an interesting city. You know, you could be an athlete, a rapper, an artist, or a lot of other things. So, and especially a boxer. And for this man to still be at it, now Zapata, he was holding us down in the bubble at the height of COVID. So he had a couple of good fights. Hank Lundy's right back in the mix with a win over Zapata. And if Zapata wins, then he's on his way. So that's just, a crossroads fight, if you will, for both guys, I think.
Okay, well, we're going to definitely tune in, look forward to that. So before we get out of here, of course, we want to thank everybody for tuning in, all the support, continue to support my man so he can continue to stay motivated to drop them gems. You do it for the love. So continue to like the videos. We definitely appreciate all the support and people watching these shows. You want to say anything before we get out of here, bro?
Yeah, man. Thanks to you as always for moderating, and thanks for everybody for checking us out, whether it's 1 or 1,000. We in the building. We appreciate the patronage. Feel free to hit me up, leave comments in the comment section. Hit me up on Instagram at King Amin of Essex 1. Hit me in my inbox. I'm a visible public figure, and I'm a passionate patron of the sport. And again, thank you guys, and see y'all at round 10.
All right, I think that's it.